pricing, and I took the liberty of rewriting the payment schedule, the price schedule right here. And the idea is that if you sell a certain number of items, if it's between this value and this value, 1 and 1,000, it'll cost $100. If you're buying between 1,000 and 1 and 1,500 of them, it'll cost $93 each, etc., etc. So the typical way one would look at this would maybe be using a VLOOKUP. So what we'll do is we'll put the we'll put the quantity right here, and let's say, well, it doesn't matter, and then we'll put the price right over here. So let's say the quantity, just for starts, is 1,800. Good. And the way to do this generally is to use a sort of hidden helper, a helper column. And we'll do it with two Boolean expressions, or just true-false expressions. So we'll make this equals, and we want to know if the quantity up here is between 1 and 1,000. So we'll do equals that. Sorry, we need parentheses. Equals that is greater than or equal to this. And then if that's true or false, we need a second true or false one. If one is false, they'll negate each other by using the multiplication sign. And then we'll do the second is if B3 is less than or equal to E5. And this should say 0 for false when I press return. There we go. And now we just have to fix the constants. We want to make sure that B3 is an absolute reference. So we'll just change that to B $3. And then we'll do that here as well. And there you go. And we'll finish the helper. We'll just take this and drag that down. And there we go. Also, right over here, we have a problem. We need an upper bound. So I'm going to use the biggest number I can think of, which is 10 to the 80th. We'll never see that many, hopefully. So good. But if you notice, 1,800 is between 1,501 and 2,000. Good. So this helper column works. And if we change this to, let's say, 2,500, sure enough, as we expect, and let's just test this extreme case. If we change this to 5,000, hey, it worked. It knows that 5,000 above 3,500. So now we need our VLOOKUP. And the VLOOKUP, oops, sorry, don't need that parentheses. The VLOOKUP, the first thing wants the lookup value. So that's just going to be the 5,000. Oh, sorry. That is going to be, we're going to be looking for 1. My fault. So we're going to be looking for 1. And the place we're going to be looking for it is here, here, and here, this whole array. And by default, it's looking in the first column. And then it wants to know where we're going to look for the answer. And that's going to be column F, which is column 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a 4 there. And then, of course, this final is approximate or exact. We definitely want exact here. So we'll do false. And let's see how that goes. There we go. And 5,000 to that. Now, if I change this to 1,600, it should read $89 here. Hey, and it worked. And we have a beautiful lookup table. Now, we're not going to stop there, though, because this one is flawed. And the way in which this is flawed is that we can't do multiple values at a time. Because our helper column, we'd have to make a helper column for every value. So if we had some invoice or something with a bunch of quantities, 1,200 and then 1,600 and then 5,000 and then 4,000 and then 3,100, whatever, and I wanted to put a price for each of these, I can't do that using this method. And that's where XLOOKUP is going to come into play. And XLOOKUP I'm going to scrap this. So take a look at this. If you need to pause this to get this this nice formula there, because I'm about to destroy it. And if you notice, the formula for each of these, which I'm also going to about to destroy, is this. So I'm going to destroy this, which will break this. Good. And instead, in its place, I'm going to put, so this is going to be quantity, and this is going to be price. I'm going to do XLOOKUP. And XLOOKUP, similarly, I can just name the value. And I am going to be looking for 1, because we're still going to do that Boolean thing. And the lookup array is, the first condition is I want this to be greater than or equal to this. And then the second one, this needs to be, A7 also needs to be less than or equal to D6, or E5. And here the absolute references are incredibly important. So for this, we need the we need our 5, our D, our 5 and our 5 to be there. And we'll show you, I'll explain why at the end. Then the second thing is the return array. And sorry, I did it slightly wrong. Yeah, we need the range. So D5 to D10. And then this one is E5 to E10. There we go, much better. And then for the return array, we need the F entire column, and that is going to be fine. And let's just check this for errors. I think we're in good shape. That was the problem, and I think we're actually good. So let's see what happens. So, oh, sorry. And then this one, we're going to need this to be absolute as well for when we copy it down as well. And there we go. Let's see. Good. And let's see, 1200 should be 93. Beautiful. And now let's copy this down. And if we didn't do it wrong, it should work fine. And there we go. 8100, 77. And the great thing about this is, I'm going to pull this up again. Oops. The great thing about using this method, here we go, is let's say there was a second table. I'm not going to do it, but let's say there was a second table of the same quantities, but instead like a different part number, part A versus part B. And you had to look up by more criteria than just the number. You can just add it. You can just add another criterion using the multiplication and then one of these inequalities. And of course, just to explain the dollar signs, that's really just for when we copied it down. We wanted to make sure that it stayed from row 5 to row 10, even though we're copying downward, which would normally make it row 6 to 11, which is no use to us. So there we go. I hope that was helpful.